שישמח פוזח אלוהי אלוהי בכל שיבוא 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 אני בא באמונה שיבוא לפיה המשיח אני מאמין.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to Moshiach Mystery series. So, this evening we are going to be discussing something more practical. So we know the Baal Shem Tov says that everything that a person hears or sees is a lesson in Avodas Hashem. It's a lesson in how we're supposed to serve Hashem. Now it applies to anything that you see in the world, and all the more so to Torah. Anything that you learn in Torah has to mean something also practically in Avodas Hashem, and what you're going to do practically. So, in a lot of the previous Shiurim, the previous classes, we spoke a lot about what the meaning of Mashiach is. What is Mashiach all about? What's he going to do? How Mashiach is going to bring back the shleimus of Torah and mitzvahs. We'll have the completion of all the mitzvahs. We'll build the Beis Hamikdash, and what all that accomplishes, how it brings Gilui Elokus, reveals Hashem's presence in this world, and how that's the ultimate purpose of creation. And we also spoke about how we see how a lot of these things are unfolding before our eyes. As the Rebbe focuses our attention and speaks about this idea. So, what we have to understand is so practically speaking. So, what does this mean for us now? How does that change our avodah and the way we serve Hashem now in the moments before the Geula? That's the question. So, maybe just to add one more point. So we know that everything that we read in Chumash, we read in the Torah, all the stories of the Torah, all the events that happened in the past. So Chassidus teaches us, and the Rebbe teaches us even more, that even though these events occurred in the physical sense, even though they occurred only sometime in the future, but we have to see how they apply to our lives today. So even though Noach built the Teva a couple thousand years ago, and Avraham Avinu lived a couple thousand years ago, and all the different characters that we read about in the Chumash, this all happened years ago, but that's all in the physical sense. But as far as the lesson that is meant to be learned, that is something that applies today. So the same thing, just like it applies to events in the past, it also applies, I think, to events in the future. So when we talk about the Geula, even though the Geula in the simple sense hasn't yet come, and it's going to come in the future very soon, but even in the moments before the Geula, so by learning about the Geula and what's going to happen, and how we're seeing that it's already happening, so it can teach us about what we're supposed to do today. So the question is, so what is our knowledge and our belief in Mashiach? So how does it change our avodah today? So the truth is, even before Chassidus, even before the teachings of Chassidus, which give us a whole different perspective on Geula, the very belief, knowledge that Mashiach is going to come one day, and the belief that in the anticipation that Mashiach is coming, that is what held our people strong throughout Golus. If you think about all the pain, all the trials and tribulations, and all the things that happened throughout Golus, what is it that kept our nation strong? What is it how were they able to go through such difficult times and so many the persecution and all these things? It was the belief that all of this is temporary, that this is just part of Golus. This is not the way it's supposed to be, and that Hashem hasn't forsaken us, chas v'shalom, God forbid, but there's going to come a time, and we're going to leave this Golus, we'll leave this exile, and things will revert to the way they should be, and on the contrary, it'll be not only will it just be the way it was before, but it will be even greater. So even without a deep understanding of what Mashiach is really about, just the simple belief that every single Jew had and has, and the belief that we're just going to leave this exile in a very simple way, that belief is what keeps us strong and what kept us strong throughout all of Galus. That keeps us that keeps us moving. I remember once the Rebbe said that it talks about Yosef. Yosef was called a Baal HaChaloimos. He said he was a master of dreams, right? So the Rebbe said that every Jew is a Baal HaChaloimos. Every Jew is a dreamer. He says, what is it that kept Jews throughout Galus? Is the fact that we always had a dream. We had a dream that things will change, that things will be better. So the belief in Mashiach, this was always our belief, our anticipation, our dream. And so it's what kept us alive and gave us the wherewithal, the ability to endure the pain of Galus. So all of this is before the revelation of Chassidus, right? Just the belief that Galus, it's not here to stay, right? It's going to end one day, that itself. But when Chassidus came, so Chassidus gave us a whole different understanding of Mashiach, everything we spoke about before. So just one simple point. So in Tanya, in Perek Lamed Zayin in Tanya, chapter 37 of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, we read it a number of times already, that what is Mashiach all about? Mashiach means Gilui Orin Sof Baruch Hu Ba'olam Hazeh Hagashmi, that there's going to be a revelation of the infinite light of Hashem in this physical world. And he says, and how does that happen? How does that happen? How is that going to happen? It's not just going to happen by itself. It's through Maseinu V'Avedaseinu Kol Zman Meshech HaGolus. It's through our actions, through our Avodah, throughout Golus. And he goes on to explain how. He says, because what is a mitzvah? A mitzvah is the will of Hashem. And every mitzvah is connected with a physical object. And when you do that mitzvah with that physical object, you are bringing down a gili of Orein Sof, revelation, an infinite revelation of Hashem into this physical world. We just don't see it, right? And when Mashiach will come, then we'll see what we accomplished throughout Golus. So in other words, the Chassidus didn't, before Chassidus, so Mashiach was just it was the belief that we could escape Golus. It was the belief that Golus is not here forever, that eventually there's something better, something bigger and better in store for us, waiting there for us. Chassidus gave us the meaning, the purpose of Golus, and the purpose of Torah Mitzvahs. It taught us that Mashiach, it's not just a way to get rid of the problem, but it's actually the purpose of all of our challenges, the purpose of Golus, and the whole purpose, really, of the whole creation of the world in the first place. Which this is what we call, Dira B'Tachtonim, a dwelling place for Hashem in this world, and it's something that started at the beginning of creation, and it's a process. It's something that's happening. So the knowledge, understanding what Mashiach is, and it gives us meaning, gives us purpose. This is really the whole goal of Torah Mitzvahs. So obviously, understanding and thinking about Mashiach, so obviously it totally changes our avodah because it gives us direction, tells us gives us meaning. This is where we are heading to. Nevertheless, it seems that as the Golus continued, and the more we, so to say, the more we advanced, so to say, in the process of Golus, we'll call it, the more we advance in the process of Golus, the more emphasis there is on how our avodah is bringing Mashiach. So what I want to get to over here is to explain, first of all, just to show a little bit how we see throughout the generations, especially in the Rebbe's Nesius, throughout the Rebbe's leadership, how the emphasis on Mashiach became more and more. And also practically, so how is it different now? What changed now? Now that the Rebbe said that we're literally standing on the threshold of Geula, the threshold of redemption, Mashiach is ready to come and he's on his way. So what does that change now in our avodah? If now we understand, if we have the perspective of Chassidus, put it this way, now that Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe taught us that really the whole purpose of Torah mitzvahs is Moshiach. So what changed now? What changed now in let's say Tafshin Nun Aleph in 1991, where the Rebbe said now you have to do whatever you can to bring Mashiach. So what changed? Everything we always did was always to bring Mashiach. So what exactly changed now? So we'll try to touch upon that as well. Okay, so first of all, just to show a little bit, so how throughout the Rebbe's leadership, how the emphasis on Mashiach became more and more. So the truth is, in the first Maimer, the Rebbe said, first discourse, when the Rebbe was accepted in Asiyas, Basi Lagani, it started with the words Basi Lagani. The whole idea in that Maimer is how the whole purpose of creation is to bring down the Ikar Shechina into this world. And which means basically the revelation of Hashem in this world, the greatest revelation. And he talked about how we are the seventh generation from the Alter Rebbe, and that's our job. So already from the beginning, the Rebbe made it clear that in this generation, this is the last generation. Our job is to bring it home, so to say, bring it home. Everything until now, even after the revelation of Chassidus, which the whole purpose of the revelation of Chassidus was to give a taste of Mashiach and to prepare the world for Mashiach, but it was still a process. In this generation, so now it's actually meant to happen. Now we're actually supposed to bring Mashiach b'poil. And we see that everything that the Rebbe did throughout his leadership was all clearly focused to this goal. So let's take one of the first things the Rebbe started with, which really actually was started by the previous Rebbe, was sending out shluchim, sending out emissaries throughout the world to be Mekar of Yidden to Yiddishkeit and to Chassidus. So what was the whole goal of this? The whole goal is that since Mashiach is going to redeem the entire world and every single Jew, so we have to gather every single Jew from the four corners of the earth, and we have to bring Torah and mitzvahs, and not only the simple understanding of Torah mitzvahs, but even the deeper meaning of Torah mitzvahs, Chassidus, to literally every single Jew. And that way we'll prepare every single Jew for Mashiach. And to go further, so let's point another very big thing that the Rebbe initiated was the Rebbe created Tzivas Hashem, end of 1980, Tafshin Mem Aleph, 5781, Chol Moed Sukkos, right? It's almost 40 years ago. So what was the whole purpose of Tzivas Hashem? The Rebbe created the army of Hashem. So it's like a children's organization which is focused to imbue in children how they are soldiers in Hashem's army. And what's their goal? What's the on the emblem of Tzivas Hashem? What does it say there? We want Mashiach now. Now the song "We Want Mashiach Now" was created together with the creation of Tzivas Hashem. In other words, the Rebbe created an organization for children, right? With the ultimate clear, where the clear, and obviously it's the organization is to teach children how they are soldiers in the army of Hashem, do what Hashem wants, but with the clear goal that where is this leading? This is leading to Mashiach. We want Mashiach now. And it was around that time also that the Rebbe started speaking about the importance of asking Hashem for Mashiach to come, and emphasizing how 3 times a day we say in our davening, please make the sign of David flourish. In other words, bring back Malchus Beis David, bring back the kingship of David. And the Rebbe emphasized again and again how this is part of our davening, and we have to ask Hashem, and if there's a mitzvah of a person is missing something, you have to ask Hashem for it. So obviously this was always part of the davening. This was part of the Shemona Esrei. It was something that was instituted by the Anshe Knesset HaGdoila, right? The men of the Great Assembly in the beginning. Well, at the beginning of Bayis Sheni. Well, I guess it was a little bit different. They changed the nusach a little bit. It seems that obviously it was after they no longer had a king. So then they asked for the Malchus Beis David to return. It could be then. I'm just thinking. Yeah, it could be that bracha. There wasn't the king of David actually doing Bayis Sheni, so it could be that bracha was the same. But other brachas like rebuild Yerushalayim, that was changed later. Anyway, the point is that we always said these brachas. We always said these brachas, and the Jews always were davening for Mashiach. But the emphasis, right, again and again, how we have to literally plead and ask Hashem and really mean it, ask for Mashiach. That the Rebbe only started emphasizing later in the 80s, the mems. So we see this progression over here. That the closer we get to Mashiach, the more hyper focused we become on Mashiach. And it seems that the real hyper focus came in Tafshin Nun Aleph, right? In 1991, that's when the Rebbe spoke the famous Sikha of Chav Ches Nisan, the 28th of Nisan. How the Rebbe gave us, the Rebbe said he did everything you could do to bring Mashiach, and now he's giving it over to us to do whatever you can to bring Mashiach.
Yeah, the Shiur.
Right, and we spoke about this once. Okay, so I want to speak more about it. So then it seems, for the next 11 months till Chav Zayin Adar, when the Rebbe had a stroke, so the Rebbe didn't speak anymore, any sichas. So for the next 11 months, the Rebbe was hyper-focused on Mashiach. So I think if you want to narrow it down, so what are the different things, what are the different directives, different horois that the Rebbe gave for in that time period? So I think you could narrow it down to a couple different ideas. So one thing the Rebbe spoke about is about how now we have the responsibility to bring Mashiach. That's one thing, right? Bring Mashiach, it's really, as we spoke about, that's not something new. Okay. Another thing the Rebbe spoke about was living with Mashiach. So sort of a new concept, living with Mashiach, Leben mit Mashiach in Yiddish. A third thing the Rebbe said, now all we have to do is l'kabel pnei Mashiach tzedkenu, literally to greet Mashiach. And the Rebbe went on further and he said, the only thing we have to do now is open up our eyes. Uf efen in the yegen, open up our eyes. So you can understand that each one of these things, it's even itself is more progressive. So right after, in the months of Nisan and Iyar, the Rebbe spoke about doing whatever you can to bring Mashiach. And then later, in the summer months, in Tammuz, in Av, Elul, the Rebbe spoke about living with Mashiach. And then already in Tufshin and Beis, in the 57, 52, during the months of Cheshvan and Kislev, the Rebbe spoke about now how we have to greet Mashiach. And then later in Kislev and Tevis, the Rebbe spoke about opening up our eyes. So it seems that there's like even in this process of doing whatever you can to bring Mashiach, so there's also different terms or different directives that Rebbe gives. So in the next couple of Shiurim, in our next couple classes, I want to talk about a little bit what do these different statements mean. So tonight, let's just focus a little bit. We'll talk about. So now the Rebbe said that now we have to do whatever we can to bring Mashiach. Right? That's what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said what it says. I'll read the words inside. Ma'od yachon lilases kedei shekol bnei Yisrael yarishu v'yitzaku be'emes. What more can I do that all Jews should cry out truthfully v'yifalu lahavi es HaMashiach b'poel, and they'll actually bring Mashiach. La'acher shekol ma shenasa ad atzah lo hayel. After everything that was done until now didn't help. Hadavar hayachidi sheyachon lilases. What's the only thing I can do? Limser ha'inyan aleichem, to give it over to you. Asu kol asher b'yecholtechem. Do whatever you can. Idyanim sheim ba'ofen da'iris detayu aval b'kelim detikun. Things which are like the lights of toyu, but in kelim detikun. That's a whole other discussion. And what's the goal? Lahavi b'poelos Mashiach tzedkenu taketh him yad mamish. To actually bring Mashiach literally now. And so in the next couple of sichas, in the next couple of weeks, in Parsha Shmini, Tazriya Metzora, Achim Eskadeshim, Emma, the Rebbe went on to explain what are these different things that we should do in order to bring Mashiach. And the Rebbe said very simple, is that you have to add in learning Torah. And you have to add in fulfilling mitzvahs behiddur. You have to fulfill Torah mitzvahs properly. And you have to spread Torah and Chassidus. And you have to spread Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, and basically all the things that we've been doing throughout all these last generations, and the Rebbe himself also has spoken about all these different things. So the question is, so what's unique, right? So now we have to do whatever we can to bring Mashiach, right? What does it mean? Very simple. Continue doing whatever you've been doing until now. Torah mitzvahs, right? Spreading Torah mitzvahs to someone, to others, right? Even to Goyim, Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. So what's our unique avodah now? So I think we could point out three ideas. So one idea is it's very simple. It's just the emphasis. So in other words, like this: if you look in, for example, look in the Sikha. This was a couple of years before in the Sikha of Shabbos Parshas Kiseitze, Tafshin Memches, the end of 1988. So the Rebbe says the following thing. It says that we know that the Rebbeim, they spread Chassidus. They taught Chassidus. And the whole purpose of Chassidus is to bring Mashiach, like Mashiach told the Baal Shem Tov. Right? Mashiach asked, the Baal Shem Tov asked Mashiach, when are you coming? And he said, when your well springs are spread outwards. So the Rebbe says the following. Very interesting. However, throughout all the generations, even at the beginning of the time of my father-in-law, the previous Rebbe, the main emphasis was about spreading Chassidus. The emphasis wasn't on bringing Mashiach. Even though they knew that when you spread Chassidus, it's going to bring Mashiach. From time to time, they'd mention it, they talk about it. It says, however, once the Friedrich Rebbe came and he said, now, immediate tshuva will bring immediate Geula. And he's continuing to announce. That even after his passing, he's still leading us. Now the emphasis is on bringing the Geula. To the extent that every single thing that we do, it's permeated with the intent to bring Mashiach. It's with the clear knowledge, it was the clear intention to bring Mashiach, because that is the job of our generation. So here the Rebbe is talking about, in general, our generation, right? The generation that, as we mentioned, that what's unique about our generation is that this is our job, that the focus is to bring the Geula. So I think even take it maybe a step further. So I think after Chav Chasnissen, the Rebbe is saying, so till even in Der Hashvi, so the process of Geula, there's also stages. It's like, okay, we're bringing Mashiach, but it's like a process to bring Mashiach. Now it's like our job is that we're have to bring Mashiach b'poyel mamish, like literally, like there's nothing. As the Rebbe said, we finished all the avodah, like we spoke about. In other words, the avodah of Galus is finished. It's not like the last touches to bring the Geula b'poyel. The avodah is specifically with the kavanah to actually bring the Geula b'poyel, to literally bring the Geula. And another sikha in Tolos Tafshin and Beis, Shabbos Parshas Tolos in the end of 1991. The Rebbe writes over here that Hanakuda ha'ikar shebachai kol echad ve'echad b'Yisroel u'klolis Yisroel b'meshach kol hadayres kol yemei yechal havi l'maysa Mashiach. What's the main point in the life of every Jew and the Jews throughout all the generations? Is it's to bring Mashiach. The Rebbe says that it's more emphasized in our generation and in this time period. So in other words, there's a couple stages over here. In general, the whole purpose of every Jew's life is to bring Mashiach, meaning from the beginning from the first Jew, that was the ultimate goal. But it's more emphasized when? In our generation, right? Because our generation, that's the goal. And in our generation itself, where is it more emphasized? B'tkufa seinuzu, in this time period, now that we finished Avodah and Golos. So, in other words, when the Rebbe says that we have to add in Torah mitzvahs to bring Geula, the Rebbe also emphasizes that it's not just to add in how much we're doing, more Torah, more mitzvahs. It's also with the intention. The intention is different. The goal is different. That you're anticipating Mashiach's imminent arrival. It's in the actually the next Sikha right after Chavchas Nissen, right after that Sikha where the Rebbe gave it over to us. The Rebbe clearly emphasizes that point. That he says we have to add in Torah mitzvahs. It has to be with the strong desire and anticipation for Geula. That we anticipated his arrival every single day. And you could say that it translates also practically in what you're focused on. So if the whole goal is to bring Mashiach, so we can understand that also, let's say you're learning Torah, so there's a specific emphasis on the part of Torah that speaks about Geula. So that explains also the emphasis now to learn about Geula. Before then, there was no emphasis, right? Not really. The Rebbe never really emphasized that we should learn about the Geula itself, because the main focus was on doing the Avodah, or learning Chassidus, and that's going to bring the Geula, and that's still part of the Avodah. But now, since the emphasis is on Mashiach B'Poel, so when we're learning Torah also, it includes also learning about Mashiach itself. And furthermore, whatever we learn in Torah, we also find the connections to Geula. So that's one point. One point is just the more emphasis, how it's clearly that our goal is to bring Mashiach. That was, you didn't have that so much before. Now it's the goal and the emphasis has to be to bring Mashiach. Now, to add a further thing. So when we say that we have to do more to bring Mashiach. So I would say that it's not just about adding in quantity, in kamos, right? Do more things, right? Or now we're speaking, or we're talking about, now there's more emphasis on Mashiach, so now we're speaking more about Mashiach, right? Learn more about Mashiach, speak more about Mashiach, think more about Mashiach, like more in quantity. It's also more in quality. The more you understand, the more we understand what Mashiach is all about, the more important it becomes to us. So in other words, in previous generations, and even so, Mashiach was like sort of like a theoretical. It was more like sort of an abstract idea. Like, well, what exactly is Mashiach? Like, what does it mean exactly? It was hard to really care about Mashiach and really want Mashiach b'poel because Mashiach was very abstract. But it was less explained. But as Chassidus developed, and especially in the Rebbe's Nesis, the Rebbe spoke so much about Mashiach and explained about it, and he showed how it's happening. So now it becomes more of a reality in your life, and it becomes more important to you. It takes you more. It's more. So when you talk about Mashiach, it's not just a dream that, okay, like we spoke before, throughout all the generations, okay, there's a dream that one day things will be different, things will be better. It becomes more of a reality, and since it's more of a reality, it becomes more important. It becomes more important to you, more part of us, right? So literally, we have a whole generation now that was educated in such a way that the Mashiach, it's not just like, some dream that it's gonna. This is something which is part and parcel of who we are, which could be that's also connected to what the Rebbe spoke about in the Sikh of Toldos Tafshin Nun Beis, 57-52, where he took this whole. So we spoke in previous Shiurim about how Mashiach is connected with the concept of Yechida, right? Which generally Yechida is the essence of the neshama. But in this Farbrengen, the Rebbe said that really Yechida is not the highest level. The Etzem HaNefesh, the essence of the soul, is even higher. So when we talk about Mashiach, and we say that Mashiach is Yechida, really Mashiach is even higher than that. Mashiach is the Etzem. He's connected with the essence of Hashem. So we talked in previous classes, we explained the difference between these things. But generally speaking, the difference is that Yechida, even though it's at the level, the essence of the neshama, where the Jew feels that he wants to do, that his whole essence is to do what Hashem wants, but he's still a separate entity. The deepest level of the neshama is a level where we could say that it's as if the neshama is not at all disconnected from Hashem at all. It's like one with Hashem. So that's the concept of Mashiach. So we can understand that now the Rebbe is telling us over here that this also explains how negeya Mashiach is to us, how relevant it is to us. It's not just like, okay, like, yeah, it'll happen one day, it's something. This is who we are. This concept of Mashiach, this concept which is the revelation of the essence, it's the revelation really of the essence of us, of our in other words, right now, so to say, we're not living ourselves, we're not being ourselves. Mashiach means revealing who we really are, that we're really one thing with Hashem. Like the Rebbe spoke in them in the last Maimer that he gave out, V'ata Tetzaveh, how the fact that there should be Gili Oy and Seif Habli Gvul, the revelation of the infinite light of Hashem in this world, this is negeya to the etzem mitzias of every Jew, to his very existence, his very being. That's who he is. This is relevant to him. This is who he is. He needs that Hashem should be revealed in this world, because that's who he is. He's one with Hashem. So to say, just like Hashem, Chassidus explains about Dir B'Tachtonim, right? It says that Hashem wants a dwelling place in this world. It says that's the deepest part of Hashem, so to say. The essence of Hashem wants, so to say, to be revealed in this lowly world. So if a Jew is connected with the essence of Hashem, that means that's what the Jew wants also. He wants that this should be fulfilled, because he's not someone separate than this whole thing. He has the same objective, because that's who he is. He's not a separate entity at all. In other words, so the emphasis, it's not just that we talk more about Mashiach and we focus more on it, we think more about it, but it's the more we learn about it and the more we understand what it is, so it becomes more relevant to us.
Like we partner with Hashem.
Yes, like we partner with Hashem. Yeah, exactly. And that, I think, leads us to the next point also, which the Rebbe was saying in Chav Ches Nesim, which we spoke about in the previous class, which is that now we have the responsibility to bring Mashiach. So maybe, so what does that mean exactly? So we spoke about it before, but just in short. So you'd say that before that Sikha, so you could say the Rebbe had the responsibility to bring Mashiach. The Rebbe is like the Rosh Bnei Yisrael. He's the head. He's the one directing us, and we're the feet, we're the Raglaim de Moshe. We're like Moshe's feet, so to say. We're carrying out what he wants, but it's. So this is the Rebbe. The Rebbe really feels that Mashiach is important, and he's directing us in that direction. He's telling us what to do, but it's at the end of the day, even though we care about it, but it's his responsibility. Now the Rebbe he's picking us up to a higher level over here. He's the responsibility that he had to bring Mashiach. He's saying, I'm giving this to you now. I'm giving you more koyach now. I'm giving you more responsibility, more power. That now you're not just a soldier who's carrying out my will, but now you have to become a part of this. Like he said, you have to come up with ideas. How are you going to bring Mashiach? What are you going to do? You have to be, because this is your responsibility now also. It's like he's like taking us on the board. He's not just telling us what to do. He's like we're like on his board of how to bring Mashiach, so to say. Of course, the Rebbe keeps on telling us, Hayrois and what to do, but at the same time, the Rebbe is telling us, you have to think what to do. What does that tell you? That tells you that now, there never was such a thing before. The Rebbe should tell us, we should come up with ideas how to bring Mashiach. Like, whoever heard of such a thing. Like, the Rebbe tells us what to do. We listen to the Rebbe. The Rebbe is telling us that now you have a greater responsibility. It's not just, okay, do whatever the Rebbe says. You have to come up with ideas yourself. You have to figure out how you're going to make this happen. Now, just naturally, so the way things work, when a person is given a responsibility, a person usually finds deeper koiches, deeper power within themselves to fulfill their new job. Right? If it's not my responsibility, okay, so I do whatever is necessary, and that's it. Then whenever I'm done, so I'm not worried. Something's your responsibility, so you have to make this happen. So you have to. It brings out much deeper koiches, much deeper powers that are latent within your soul. So the truth is that already in Purim, Tafshin Mem Zayin, 1987, the Rebbe already spoke about this idea that he's giving it over to us, but not as clear as in Chav Ches Nisan. The Rebbe clearly said that now it's our responsibility. So to sum up, so it seems that our goal now is, so what's unique about the Avodah now is the added emphasis, the clear kavanah that now everything that we're doing is clear to bring Mashiach. Number two, also how it's more relevant to us to bring Mashiach, right? It takes us over more, because now we understand more what it means and how it's happening, and we could make it happen. And furthermore, now it's our responsibility to make it happen. And I think all of this is connected to one thing that the Rebbe kept on saying over and over, is the fact that every single Jew has a nitzutz of Mashiach, has a spark of Mashiach, and that's his Yechidah Shebenefesh, or deeper, there's Etzem HaNefesh. And since every single Jew, so to say, has a spark of Mashiach inside of him, so every Jew has like a power, he has the power, so to say, of Mashiach, through one Maaseh, one Dibur, he could bring the Geula, because he has the power of Mashiach inside of him. And therefore, he could sort of say, he feels like Hashem's partner, and Mashiach is negayah to him, and it's his responsibility. And therefore, his whole goal and everything he do is to bring the Geula. So that's our job over here. So now, bottom line, after all said and done, what Mashiach is going to do and how it's happening. But bottom line is, the Rebbe is telling us we have to do something. And we should take a bizoicha that one, like the Rebbe would always quote the Rambam, one maisa, one dibur, one machshava, one action, one word, even one thought, can tip the scale to bring Mashiach.
Moshiach, 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 Moshiach. Via sheistameyach kozeach hakeloyach hakeloy bechol sheyovoy, 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 sheyovoy. Ba'at be'emunah sheyovoy. Moshiach, ani, 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 ani.